Okay, we'll go ahead and get started here. All right. Good evening and welcome to this Tuesday, March 19th, 2024 meeting of the Raymore Planning and Zoning Commission. If you would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll move into roll. Commissioner Bowie?
Present.
Commissioner Smith?
Present.
Commissioner Faulkner?
Present.
Vice Chair Fizer?
Present.
Commissioner Peterman is out sick this evening. New Commissioner, Commissioner Lauren Shanks?
Present.
Commissioner Kia?
Present.
Mayor Turnbow is absent, and Chairman Wiggins is here, so we've got, what is that? I guess I get it. Count real quick. Yeah, 7 tonight, this evening. Perfect. We have one personal appearance scheduled tonight, Melissa Harmer, Communications Manager for the City of Raymore, to discuss Question P.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to share some information with you this evening. On April 2nd, Raymore voters will be asked to consider Question P, which is a local use tax. A local use tax is equal to the City of Raymore's sales tax, which is 2.5%. On the purchase of goods strictly from out-of-state vendors. A lot of that is your online shopping that currently do not collect Raymore sales tax. Local taxes do go to support the local government, and we are a service organization. So our growth, city growth has outpaced, and the demand for services has outpaced our staffing. So in the areas of police, public works maintenance workers, and parks maintenance workers, we are staffed well below industry standards, and we're staffed well below the levels of our peer cities with the same populations and sizes in the area. So revenue from a local use tax would go to support additional positions in police, a minimum of 4 additional police officers, in public works, a minimum of 2 additional maintenance workers, and in parks, an additional minimum of 2 parks maintenance workers. And then also there would be funding dedicated each year to maintenance of 58 Highway on Raymore Stretch through town, which would be 1/5 of 58 Highway would get whatever work it needs, mill and overlay, sidewalks, curbs, gutters, anything like that, so that we could always have a nice, safe and smooth and well-maintained stretch of 58 Highway through town. And this would allow us to also continue our normal street preservation program for neighborhood streets and other thoroughfares in the city. I think that's the gist of it. If you have any questions, I don't know if that's allowed on the agenda, but I'm happy to answer questions. We will have open houses here in City Council chambers tomorrow from noon to 3 p.m. and 5 to 7:30 p.m. And again on Thursday, March 21st, 9 a.m. to noon and 5 to 7:30 p.m. if anyone wants to come and ask questions of staff one-on-one, get more information. All of this information is also on our website at raymore.com/questionp. It's in the review that you got in your mail a few weeks ago. And my contact information is on everything. If anyone has any questions that you don't want to ask now but you want to ask later, I'm happy to meet with anyone or take a phone call or an email anytime.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any questions of Ms. Harmer at this time?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll move into item number 4, or sorry, that was 4. Item 5, our consent agenda. We have one item, item A, approval of minutes from the January 16th, 2024 meeting. Entertain a motion to dispose of this item, please.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir, Mr. Faulkner.
I move that we approve minutes from our January 16th, 2024 meeting.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Faulkner, second by Commissioner Bowie to accept the minutes from the January 16th, 2024 meeting. Any discussion of the item? Seeing none, all in favor? That will pass unanimously, 7-0. Thank you. No unfinished business tonight, so we will move into item 7, new business. We have one item. Item A, case number 24002, Chick-fil-A site plan. At this time, I would ask either the applicant or city, whoever will be presenting. There's
The
the word.
applicant is present tonight, and so I just want to let you know I will be broadcasting, so I'll be taking over the screens for just a minute.
Wonderful, thank you. Make sure the mic's on.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. Good evening.
Evening.
Here we go. My name's Joe Vavrina with HR Green. I am the civil engineer in the project, also representing Chick-fil-A here tonight to present this exciting project to you guys, which is the redevelopment of the property located at 1920 Foxwood Drive. And that consists of, let me flip to the site plan here, consists of raising the site as it exists today, so demoing the building
Hold
that's
on a
there.
second. Sir, sorry, we don't see anything on our screens. So I'm sure you're showing something absolutely fantastic, but we have no idea.
No, I don't have anything. That's just back to our computer. Closer. It's just a gray screen. You know the drawings that are on the presentation are all part of the packet. Okay, yeah, if you just want to release us then.
Sorry about that.
Hey, it's not your fault, it's their fault. Just kidding, sort of.
So our proposal is to raise the site that's there today, demo the building, parking lot, and then redevelop the site with a brand-new Chick-fil-A restaurant, dual drive-through lane facility that wraps around the south, west, and north sides of the building, 81 stall parking lot, outdoor patio to the north of the building that would seat roughly 16 seats. Trash enclosure located to the north. Access to the site will maintain both access points that are there today. The one that's off of Kentucky and the northwest corner, and then also the one that leads out to Westgate. Our operations of the drive-through lane, so this model that you see here, or that you've seen on the plans, because you can't see this, is Chick-fil-A's latest layout for their drive-through lane. So if you've been to Chick-fil-A before, recently, some of the newer ones in the area do have this full 2-lane drive-through, but a lot of the older ones, I'd say pre-pandemic, do not. The full 2 drive-through lanes was a result of the pandemic, and it was really just to make the drive-through lane more efficient, speed up the rate of service, and get the traffic through the drive-through lane quicker so that we're not seeing backups in the parking lots, neighboring roadways, public roadways, things of that nature. And this concept has hit that mark and then some. The operators that have been blessed with this layout rave about it, and I can't say enough about the efficiency that both these drive-through lanes give them. And how it works is it's been coined as a dual flex lane, meaning that the outside lane can be used to however best fit the operator wants to use it. So it could be used as a lane for meal fulfillment. It could be used as a bypass lane, or depending on the market and the strength of online or mobile sales, it could be used for mobile through. Meaning if you placed an order on the app, you can then go into the outer lane when you get to the site and then just drive right up to the pickup window and pick up your order. Versus, some of the older traditional methods, which is park in the stall in the parking lot and pick up your order that way. But that, not every site has the mobile through option. It really just depends on the area. But what you would typically see if it is used for meal fulfillment is in the peak hour, which is usually lunch or dinner. There will be team members that would be stationed out at the order point, which is, let's see, I can point for, I guess, everybody in the audience. The order point is up here at the, I'll call it northwest corner of the building. There'll be 2 to 3 members in each lane that will be physically taking orders via iPads. And then when you get to the pickup window, again, there'll be team members that'll be pulling orders out of the store and then hand delivering those orders to folks in lanes 1 and 2. The striped walkway that's down the middle of the drive-through lane is the safety zone for the team members to walk. So they're in a safe place at all times. And there's crosswalks that'll lead to that I'll call inside stripe lane, again, for safety. In non-peak hours, that outside lane can be used as a bypass. So the operator can close the outside lane down with magnetic, I'll call bollards, they're delineators, and that's how they can maneuver traffic in and out is through the use of those pieces of equipment. So they could open up just the 2 lanes up to the order point and then neck it down to just 1 lane to the pickup window like you traditionally would see in some of the older ones. Or they could just close the whole outside lane down entirely, depending on the volume of traffic that's coming to the site. So really provides a lot of flexibility for the operator. Again, like I said, it has been a tremendous hit for those that have had this in their stores. From a landscape perspective, if you've all been to Chick-fil-A, landscaping, they definitely go above and beyond most local codes. Just because the landscaping and the appearance of the site is the first impression for their guests. Second is inside the store, but the first impression is the actual landscaping of the site. So as you'll see on this plan, or have you seen the hard copies, this plan has been heavily landscaped to not only promote year-round screening, but also year-round interest, color. There's a variety of plant species that are proposed here through deciduous trees, evergreen trees, deciduous shrubs, and evergreen shrubs, ornamental grasses, and perennials, all to, again, promote color throughout the year, screening throughout the year, so that the site presents itself very well. As well, on the north side, we are also adding some additional screening up there to buffer between the residential. That is a heavily dense row of arborvitae and sumac. Those will grow pretty tall over time, roughly 15 to 20 feet tall. So it'll provide a nice barrier between this development and the future, or the residential to the north. Elevation-wise, these buildings are all brick, 100%, with the exception of the glass and the storefront, which is dark bronze, as well as the metal capping on top. There are 2 canopies. One is at the pickup, or the order point, as I pointed out earlier. There's another one that is also next to the building or over the top of the pickup window. Again, both of those canopies are there to provide shelter for not only the team members that are out there taking orders and handing orders out, but also for the guests that are there to pick up their orders or have their orders taken. Under those canopies, there are, at least at the order point, there's fans and heaters. So in the winter months, there's the radiant heat for the team members so that they are not obviously exposed to some of the harsher temperatures that we see up here in the Midwest. And there's also fans for the summertime when it gets really hot out, just to keep air circulation. But those are also dark metal bronze to complement the dark metal bronze in the building as well. And this is just the side view of the building. I will point out at the very top, or atop the south elevation, where the pickup window is, that's actually a drive-through door. So how that operates is in regular times, not peak, it operates like you would like any other pickup window for a drive-through. The doors slide open, they hand your order out, and you take your order and leave. During the peak hours, when the outside lane is used for meal fulfillment, the actual window does not open, but the doors slide open. And that allows the team members to go in and out of the building to pull orders quicker. So that's another feature of the dual flex lane that helps promote the speed of service, rate of service, and everything else. Trash enclosure, which is located up at the northwest corner of the site, again, all brick to match the building, with exception of the gates, obviously. Those are a plastic type resin, more durable than wood, lasts a lot longer than wood, and presents itself much better than wood. There is a little storage room off to the side, which is where Chick-fil-A keeps all their cleaning supplies. Again, they like to keep the site looking nice and tidy, so they wash and hose down the trash enclosure occasionally just to make sure that it doesn't look unsightly. Signage-wise, we are proposing a monument sign up on 58 with a manual reader board. And again, the purpose of that reader board, very important for Chick-fil-A, really just to identify the community and what cool functions are happening throughout the year in the store. You know, daddy-daughter nights, mother-son nights, there's military nights. There's a lot of different events that the operator will host in the store, and that's one way to notify the public. And building signage-wise, there's 4 building signs, 1 on each elevation, 3 script signs, this is a script sign, and then this is the icon sign. And those are, let me go back to the elevations real quick. The icon sign's on the south elevation, actually, my bad, the north elevation, we took the sign off, just because there's no use for that. So we just have signs on the south, and then the east and west. Those 2 are script signs. And with that, that is all I had for you guys. Happy to answer any questions you might have. And thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do any members of the commission have any questions before we move to staff report? Yes, sir, Mr. Bowie?
Quick question on the staff report. May address this, but can you just give me an idea of how much extra space is off to the east, I think you said? Is that going to be, are any of the, I think I read somewhere where you got maybe some grading that's going to have to take place to do some things on the site to prep it for Chick-fil-A, but just to the east, there's going to be an extra pad left over. So
That's correct.
So what size is that pad? Is that a pad that's big enough for some future development or what?
Yes, it is. Yep, and the current landowner is proposing to, or is looking at different options for that site, that future pad site.
Okay.
And we'll be coming through in the very near future to do a flat subdivision to create that lot.
Okay. That's all for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioner questions before we move to staff report? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Turn it over to Dylan and David.
Thank you, Mr. Vervina. It's a very thorough staff report, and so at this point, I will do my very best to try not to duplicate anything that the applicant has stated, but tonight you have in front of you a request for site plan approval for the Chick-fil-A located at 1920 West Foxwood Drive, and that's at the northeast corner of 58 and Kentucky Road. The existing zoning for the site is C2 General Commercial District, and to the north would be R1 Single Family. To the south is C3 Regional Commercial District. To the east is To the east is C3 Regional Commercial District, and to the west is the city limits of Belton. Quite a bit of history on the property, mainly dealing with access points, and so staff wanted to highlight just a couple of items here, and that Ryan Steakhouse was the original building, if you all remember. That was part of a site plan that was approved in 1995. And then later in 2010, we approved the Raymore Galleria North final plat. And most recently, March 13th, so just a week or so ago, the applicant had come in front of the Board of Zoning Adjustments and received unanimous approval for a request for the drive-through canopies that project into the 30-foot front yard setback. And so the canopy on Kentucky's side is actually projecting 12 more feet than what staff would allow administratively. And on the south side towards 58 is 11 feet, projecting further than what the code would allow. So the board did unanimously approve that. And then with this use having a proposed drive-through, there is a special use condition as per the code. And so with a restaurant use, there's 4 stacking spaces that are required behind the menu board. Obviously, the staff has gone above and beyond with this requirement as they've designed the drive-through to accommodate 14 vehicles to be stacked behind the menu board, and that's per lane, so 28 total vehicles to be stacked at one time. With regard to parking, as it is a restaurant use, the parking requirement within the code is 1 parking space for every 4 seats, or 1 for every 50 square feet of customer service area. Staff went ahead and did the calculation for you, and then provided with the requirement that's provided to be whichever is greater, the service area was greater, and so that was 31 required spaces. The applicant again is want far and beyond, as they were proposing 81 parking spaces. Site landscaping, this will be one of the things that the applicant has already filed an application to go in front of BZA. With this being a commercially zoned property, 20% of the property is required to be landscaped. Currently, right now, that meets that code. However, with the future of splitting the lots into a future pad site, they already know that it's going to fall below that threshold, which is 16%. So 4% less than what our requirement is, and so they're going to be going in front of BZA April 10th for that request. With the screening to the north, that's the only area that requires a screening, which would be type A. It's an R1 zone property, and so there's already a bunch of existing shrubbery and trees that exist on that property, so there will be no removal that the applicant will be doing. They'll only be adding additional landscaping to that, so that will meet our intent for the code on this. With regard to site access, there are two vehicular access points, one in the northwest corner where Kentucky Road is, and one on the northeast corner where Westgate Drive is. And then also with pedestrian access, that is, there's an existing sidewalk already along 58 in Kentucky, and the applicant is going to be required to extend that sidewalk from 58 to the primary structure with the pedestrian crossing being striped. The applicant did submit for a sign package just really for illustrative purposes. They will be coming back before Planning Commission as well as the City Council for a conditional use permit. One being for the additional wall sign. If there's, right now the code allows for 3, and so anything above and beyond that would be a conditional use permit for a wall sign in a commercially zoned property. And then the second would be for the monument sign, which exceeds the 32 square feet that is allotted by right. I believe this one is 50 square feet. So that will be something that you would see in the future come before you as well as the City Council. Site lighting would be an additional request that will actually go in front of BZA. They are proposing 36.3 foot candles under their drive-through canopies, which obviously is requested for not only the safety of vehicles within the drive-through, but obviously their employees that are going to be kind of weaving in and out of traffic to get everybody their products that they've ordered. And so that will be another request that will go in front of BZA on April the 10th. So it exceeds by 6.3 foot candles, which is not terribly a lot, but it's something staff felt important to pick out. With the alignment to the comprehensive plan, the future land use map within the growth management plan identifies this area as appropriate for commercial development. The proposed Chick-fil-A is considered permitted use within the C2 General Commercial District. And then there's a couple staff comments that we had. One with regard, obviously there was going to be some traffic concerns with as much volume as traffic that will be produced from Chick-fil-A. There is a capital improvement plan, which you guys just heard at the end of the year with the medians being constructed there off of Dean Avenue and 58. So that would actually require anyone going south on Kentucky Road, if you were to look to go east or turn left, you would not be able to with this median being constructed. So the hope is that timing will be completed right around the time that Chick-fil-A is looking to complete this project if approved. Overall, there are 3 additional, or just 3 variance requests that are being highlighted by staff. This is something that if this were to be approved tonight, it would be a condition that it would need to be approved by BZA on April the 10th. All 3 of these items will be going in front of them, which to highlight is going to be the dumpster enclosure, which requires a 5-foot setback from a property line. It's right now at like 1.9 feet, so it's pretty close. And then the 20% required landscaping for the site, and it's at 16 with splitting the site. And then the under canopy lighting, which exceeds the max foot candles by 6.3%. So those would be the 3 total requests that are going in front of BZA, but wanted to highlight this as a condition for approval for tonight's site plan. Staff does submit their proposed findings of fact and recommends approval for case number 24002, Chick-fil-A site plan, subject to the 15 conditions as outlined in the staff report. This would conclude staff report.
Thank you, sir. Would you real quick provide a little bit more information or clarification? One of my questions obviously was the 58 in Kentucky, the medians. You mentioned Dean in 58. Is it from like Westgate to Dean, that whole area of 58 would have various turn lanes and median blockage, or just one single little hockey puck right in front of
So the
Kentucky.
Hopewood, staff had prepared to put this on your projected screens. However, that apparently is not working tonight. So it's actually two separate medians, but considered one project just because with that area being such a high traffic area.
High
it's
accident area, too.
It's very important that we not do one project at a time. We just get it all done at once.
course.
Obviously, the timeframes on that are still kind of up in the air, but in the design and construction phase currently. So the Dean median would actually go from essentially the intersection at Dean and 58 down to what would be the access road if you were to turn left to go kind of in between Big Biscuit and Office Max.
Well, you're talking about Dean, though. We're talking about 58.
So you asked on both, so I was giving
Oh,
you
sorry. Yeah. Well, no, you had mentioned Dean and 58, so I didn't, either that like the intersection of Dean and 58, or there's a Dean.
There would be two separate
and there's
medians.
a 58.
Yeah,
Okay.
two separate medians, one project.
Okay. So one on Dean, one on 58.
With the one on 58, it's essentially going to be a little bit in front of Advanced Auto Parts, and then would go to be able to provide access to be able to turn left to Kentucky from going eastbound on 58. But then there would also be kind of an additional median that goes all the way down to the traffic light at Westgate to turn left.
So essentially from, more or less, from Dean to Westgate.
That's correct.
On 58. And then the ones that we've kind of looked at or talked about on Dean, in front of Walmart, Big Biscuit, et cetera.
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
That's correct.
Okay.
And what stage is that at?
Design and construction. So they're going through and having essentially Wilson and Company is designing that. And so obviously they'll come back with a price and then we'll work from there.
Is there any impact between that and the construction that may go on in terms of Chick-fil-A?
No, I don't, I don't think they're going to have anything to do with each other. I mean, they can go on with their project, and then when we're ready, we can do ours.
Okay.
Questions, members of the commission, other than the barriers? Yes, sir.
Got one. Should be a quick one for staff. So in the staff report on page 7, the very last of section on building design quotes UDC 440.110. I didn't think that was correct.
I do believe it's 010, 440.010.
That was what I thought. I don't remember that there is a section 110 of 440, but if you agree, can we correct that?
I've got it corrected already, so we will update that.
That's fast. Thank you. That was really all I had at the time.
Any other questions? I've got one or two, but yes, Commissioner Kia.
Kind of jumping back into the whole traffic access, things like that, with Kentucky being what it is, and then the new jaunt off of it, kind of encapsulating where the Chick-fil-A is going now. Is there going to be a light at either one of those for cars? Do we perceive traffic? Because I'm just thinking like people might start taking Clint Drive straight across from Walmart to come around and then trying to get across to Kentucky. I mean, I'm guessing it's not going to be that bad if you can't turn left on Kentucky anymore, but has there been any thought in off of 58 for traffic to get in and out of there?
I would say Wilson's doing a full traffic analysis as part of their median project, so they should be able to, I mean, try and account for that kind of stuff.
And if I could add kind of back to where that CIP project started, the intent of that and the entire Westgate project was to get people to the existing signal at Westgate and 58, and then the median that we're under design will restrict the uncontrolled turning movements at Kentucky. But outside of that, the area I think you're talking about is actually within city of Belton, so that would involve some coordination there, but.
Well, on the Clinton Dry side, but on the side that Kentucky comes down.
Correct.
On that side, that would be.
Yeah, that's also, half of that road is in the city of Belton.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah, the intent of that project and the Westgate was to get people over to the signalized intersection and away from Kentucky, and then the median to further restrict those turning movements is the second leg of that project.
So if I can kind of piggyback on that, because Mr. Zer might kind of look at me like this is not really planning and zoning question, but it kind of is to a certain extent because we are doing site plan. But looking at that, the queue line is very close to the northern traffic line of the property. I would assume there's probably during peak hours, they have some sort of internal traffic plan. Because if you were to come across on 58, turn right on Kentucky, turn right into Chick-fil-A, making that 180-degree turn in your truck or large SUV is going to be nearly impossible to get into the lane. Well, then you're in the parking lot and you can't turn around anywhere because the line maybe queues back over to Westgate, which then could spill into Westgate and cause its own problems. Obviously, I have been fortunate enough to go through a 2-lane Chick-fil-A, and it is an amazing symphony of people moving around, but there's still, at least for the first couple of months, could be an issue, and I just didn't know what thoughts have been put into that, because when I saw that, I was like, that is a ginormous nightmare to have people doing 180s in the middle of a drive lane.
Once you're in, you're in.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. If you've ever been to the one in Lee Summit or the one at 135th and 69 Highway, you are stuck in a corner and you can't do much with that.
Yep, and you're right. I mean, obviously the 180 turn is definitely for larger vehicles, especially. If you got your extended pickup truck or what have you, those are going to be obviously a challenge, depending on which lanes are open. So in non-peak hours, the southern lane is the one that's going to be open all the time.
Sure.
Obviously more room to make turns and things of that nature. Peak hours, if they are operating both lanes, depending if they are, the team members that are out there, and again, peak hours, they will be out there. As you mentioned, there's a symphony of people. They will be there to help direct traffic throughout this site so that you don't have this, sea of chaos, if you will. So if there are, issues that do arise, there are team members out there to help direct people on how to get in and out of that drive-through lane, especially for larger vehicles such as that. And again, as people use this site, they will learn how to get in and out of the site. And especially if they're coming with a large vehicle, they're going to come off of Westgate versus Kentucky. But again, the team members are there to, again, help direct traffic.
Sure.
Quick question.
Yeah.
While you're here, with this, okay, I don't know, and I appreciate the background you guys gave us. I appreciate that on Truett, Kathy. I like reading that. But would this be on the large or small end of Chick-fil-A's, and is there another Chick-fil-A in the area that you would pinpoint and say, that's our design that we want to do in Raymore, somewhere around the metro area?
I would say this is pretty much the standard. So this is a full-size restaurant with a full dining room, tied to it. Roughly 5,000 square foot restaurant. Okay. So this would be considered a full-size or their larger restaurant, if you will. Mm-hmm. They do have smaller versions. They also have drive-through onlys as well, where there's no seating on the inside. Mm-hmm. And they are starting to roll those out, in certain markets. But this would be a full-size.
And anyone around here, Lee Summit,
89th and State Line is
Metcalf, would there, all these would be kind of comparable to those?
They would be, yes.
Okay.
They would be, yes.
Thank you.
But if you want to see the 2-lane, 89th and like on Ward Parkway,
Yeah.
they've got the 2-lane there. That I think it's pretty much mirrors what they're proposing here tonight. And if you've ever been through there, it's phenomenal.
I've been there. I haven't been there since they redid it, but I used to.
Since they've redone it with the 2 lanes.
When I lived in Fairway, I would go there frequently, and it was a horrible nightmare. But a lot's changed since then. Yeah.
Does that sharp turn impact the delivery trucks bringing product in, and do they deliver during open hours or?
Good question. So most of Chick-fil-A deliveries come in off hours, meaning the store is not even open. So it's at nighttime. Usually, after the store closes is when they'll have a semi actually come and drop most of the product. But they will use a smaller bread type truck, which is a single frame, straight frame type truck. Those can make these turning radiuses no problem, with vehicles still using the parking lot. It's only in after hours when the semi comes, when there's no vehicles there, that they need that whole parking lot to get that semi through.
Cool. I just had a quick question. It's probably more for staff regarding the sign. You mentioned, obviously that'll go to BZA, but we're talking about a 50% increase in size. And what I could see in the plans, it looks to be proposed for right at the front corner of 58 and Kentucky. Obviously, we're no longer allowing that left turn, so we don't have that blind, left turn seeing across the sign. But is there any concern with that location? I would have thought that it would have been 100 yards down 58, a lot further, where there's you're still, 500 feet from a turn where that sign would be versus right in front of a turn where you are basically putting a small SUV on the corner that you have to try to figure out how to look around.
Sure. And we applied the same standard that we do for everything. So within our code, we require a sight vision triangle, and so it's 30 feet essentially from where the intersection occurs. And you go 30 feet up Kentucky and 30 feet down 58, and you draw essentially a triangle.
Sure.
As long as there's nothing in that, which they've shown on the site plan that there is nothing, we are not concerned.
Does that take into effect, does that take into consideration the fact that it is 60% larger than a standard sign would be? So our 30-foot triangle would probably be based on a standard size sign, but this is substantially larger, so therefore, does that triangle?
Just within that triangle, there's nothing that can be in it, so it doesn't really dictate
Okay.
any size or anything. It just says that nothing can be in that, so that there's no problems with sight
Okay.
vision.
If I could clarify, just based on your opening comment, within the code, any variance to a sign requirement actually does not go to the Board of Adjustment. It will come back to Planning and Zoning and then back to City Council.
Sorry, I thought he mentioned it was coming to us. Sorry.
No, and so Dylan kind of mentioned in his staff report, that will be an application we're working with them to file. No, totally fine. Signage isn't really approved as part of the site plan, so we couldn't really tie anything with that to the sign request. It hasn't really been made yet, but I just want to clarify that will be a request that will be coming forward to you all here at a later date for more discussion too.
Then we will address that at a later date. Any other questions from commissioners? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to dispose of this item, please.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion that the Planning and Zoning Commission accept the proposed findings of fact and approve case number 24002, the Chick-fil-A site plan, subject to the listed 15 conditions in our packet.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Kia, second by Commissioner Smith, for the Planning and Zoning Commission to accept the proposed findings of fact and approve case 24022, Chick-fil-A site plan, with subject to the following 15 conditions as outlined. Any discussion of the item? Seeing none, all in favor? Seeing all hands raised, that will pass unanimously, 7-0. Thank you. That will conclude our new business. That will then take us to our City Council report. Mr. Zur.
Thank you very much, Chairman Wiggins. It's a pleasure to be back before the commission. It's been a little while. I think the last meeting you had back in January, Mr. Fleming was able to join you. So I have not seen you all since last year. It's a pleasure to be back. I'd also like to take the opportunity to introduce my associate, Mandy Marshall, who sits to my right here, your left. Mandy has joined the firm at the beginning of the year, and I'm starting to make sure and kind of incorporate her into opportunities and visits down here in Raymore. Looking forward to being able to have her perhaps take one of the multiple night meetings that I'm covering right now. So you may end up seeing Mandy again in the future. Since your last Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, there have been multiple City Council meetings. I've got 4 separate staff reports that I could provide from, or 4 separate agendas that I could provide for. However, principally, I'm going to draw from the February 12th meeting. During the course of that meeting, it has items on it that you all considered at your first of the year Planning and Zoning Commission, including the Creekside Ranch annexation. You may recall the Creekside Ranch rezoning from agricultural to rural estate that you had in public hearing on and considered at your Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on January 16th. There was also the Creekside Ranch preliminary plat that you all considered as well. Each of those received unanimous approval. That evening we had a total of 7-0 on each one of those individuals. Councilmember Ingert was absent for it. So that is located generally at the corner of Gore Road and Kurzwell Road, and again it altered the zoning designations from agricultural to rural estate zoning for 3-acre lots and for eventual annexation into the city. That would conclude my staff report on each of those items. I am happy to provide any further follow-up or answers to any questions. We don't have the mayor here this evening, but I do believe Mr. Gress was present for the city council meetings, and if there's anything that he needs to add, he is welcome to do so.
Very good.
I would note that we have completed our acquisitions of all easements and rights-of-way for Ward Road. I believe you should be seeing mobilization here beginning of April, middle of April.
April 1st is when the groundbreaking is, so.
Awesome. Any questions of Mr. Zur regarding City Council? No? All right, I will turn it over. Well, he will be part of staff report after staff, our development staff gives it. It's okay.
Thanks, sir. So just a couple of items tonight. So as for April 2nd, April 16th, we will be canceling both of those meetings. April 2nd, just due to lack of items, and then the 16th will be waving hi from you from Minneapolis, as David and I will be at a APA conference. So also, you probably have taken notice, there is a new planning commissioner. We'd like to welcome Lauren Shanks to the planning commission, as he will be filling in for the role of Commissioner Mansard. Those are the two items that I had for you tonight, and I'll hand this over to Mr. Grass.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to provide kind of an update, an overview of our February department report, and then also add a couple comments onto Ms. Harmer's presentation as well tonight. So for the month of February, the report was in your packet. We did issue 6 permits, so that was an uptick from January, which was good to see, and we should see quite a few permits get issued this month for new residential construction as well. We had 2 commercial permits that were issued last month, one of which was the multi-tenant building that the commission approved there at in between Go Car Wash and Scooters. And so I think that in total we have 1 tenant, which is actually the landlord of that project, but they'll build 3 to 4 additional tenant spaces on that. So you should see some dirt work on that site here in the next couple of weeks, hopefully, in addition to a turn lane that they've got to build there on 58 Highway. And then in addition, since we met last, the HTO across the street here has made pretty significant progress. They've started their kind of facade on the exterior, putting up some of their wooden panels, and so that project has been moving along quite nicely as well. And then I wanted to share, in January, we had quite a few ribbon cuttings at the Commerce Center. So that was an exciting time there to celebrate those new businesses. And what I wanted to highlight with that, kind of in a tangent to Ms. Harmer's presentation, is that with both Newly, which is the 1 million square foot warehouse that was recently opened, and then Southern Glazers, which was actually the first business to open in the Commerce Center. Both of those projects were probably 3 years worth of construction. But with respect to the use tax, one of the things that I feel like gets lost in the conversation of who's paying it, where's the money coming from. I think a lot of the attention is put on like our personal online purchases that we make as consumers. But what I wanted to point out with both of those is that with Newly, that was a $60 million project. With all of their pretty intricate racking and sorting equipment, a good amount of that was actually purchased out of the country. And so in absence of a use tax, that was more than $60 million that the city could not collect a sales tax on. And then the same would apply for Southern Glazers, which had about $25 million in equipment that they purchased. And so just, that's a significant amount of revenue that the city is losing out on. The county and the state both collect that. And so we were able to see kind of what those numbers would have been had the city had a use tax. But as we have conversations with folks around the community, I think that's one thing that gets lost is it's a lot bigger potential revenue when you look at things beyond just the individual purchases on Amazon with all their residential and commercial construction that we're seeing. That is a big chunk of that sometimes goes unnoticed. And so I just wanted to thank the commission again for allowing Ms. Harmer to present tonight, and that will conclude my staff report. I will pass it over to Mr. Salisbury for any additional questions.
Yeah, Jonathan kind of stole my thunder, but April 1st, we're finally starting the Ward Road project. Melissa should have out detours and things like that. There's also a special section on the city website that will have updates and all this stuff like that. So other than that, I don't have anything.
Thank you. Ms. Lee, anything from you?
I don't have anything to add except for that the ribbon cuttings were really exciting at the Commerce Center. And we're looking forward to all the construction with the multi-tenant building and hopefully Chick-fil-A soon as well.
Perfect. Does anybody have any questions of staff? Yes, sir, Mr. Bowie.
I didn't want to ask this while we were doing the review of the case, but Chick-fil-A has like a owner-operator thing going on, where they have an owner. Through the packet, it said they usually have like 1 or 2 Chick-fil-A's, not quite a franchise, but similar. Do we know the owner? Do we know that any information you can give us on the owner?
At this point, we don't. It was alluded to tonight that actually has been selected. I know when we started the conversations on this project at this point, like 5 years ago, they talked about how rigorous that process is to select an operator. Mm-hmm. As it said in your narrative there, it's very rare for somebody to get more than one store. I think there's a couple that have 2 in some different markets, but they did allude to that it's almost harder than it is getting into Harvard to get a Chick-fil-A as an operator. So no, we haven't met them yet. We've been dealing strictly with the corporate Chick-fil-A as they go through this process, but that will be something as we get closer to opening. I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to meet them and introduce them to the city.
Thank you.
Any additional questions of any of the staff? Very good. Thank you all very much for that. That will bring us to item 10, which is our public comments. I do not see any, but in case anybody is hanging out in the wings that would like to come forward, please do so at this time. Seeing none, I will move forward to commission member comments. I'll start at my left. Commissioner Kia, sir.
Yeah, just nice to see Mr. Zerback, especially bringing someone along with you. Appreciate you joining us, and thank you for your time. Yep. And then always staff, appreciate everything you guys do. I do like the new look of our reports tonight. The layout's kind of, I like the way it flows. It's a little bit of an adjustment, but once I kind of figured out what you're doing, I'm like, this is kind of cool. So appreciate that as well. And yeah, good to see everybody again, and welcome.
I'll kind of keep going this way. Commissioner Smith.
I'll mimic everything partner to the left said. I enjoyed the new format. Welcome the new member. It's good to see a full table out here in front of us at the same time. So, thank you.
Perfect. Vice Chair Pfizer.
Well, they've said exactly what I was going to say too. So I just agree with everything they said, and welcome to the commission. I think we're a fun group. I think you'll like working with us. We're pretty speedy, and we get along well. So welcome.
Commissioner Faulkner, sir.
Welcome to Commissioner Shanks, and I'm very impressed with the new format, the color bars, everything. It pops, and I think I'm probably echoing what's already been said, but yeah, I like it too. Thank you to staff, and a lot more staff than we used to have, so thank you all very much for the time.
Commissioner Shanks.
Fortunately, I'm joining at the right time because I don't have to know the old way. This new layout is all I know. So it is great, and I appreciate the time you guys gave me earlier in the week to kind of go over the layout and stuff. It's great to join everyone, so thank you for the welcome. And looking forward to that Ward Road project because I live out that way, so thank you.
Commissioner Bowie, sir.
Welcome. Glad to have you here. Welcome. Glad to have you here as well. Thank you, staff. I'm happy and excited to see Chick-fil-A have interest in our city. I think it'll be a good partnership. And also the fact that, Chick-fil-A is going to bring in a lot of jobs and things like that, 50, 60 jobs, whatever they do. So happy about that. Appreciate you guys as always. Thank you very much.
Pretty much echo everybody. Welcome, Commissioner Shanks, to the commission. Thank you, staff, as always, for all of the information that you all provide to us. Obviously, a lot of work goes into all of this. Thank you for entertaining the various questions that primarily I come up with that are benign and weird and whatever. As Dylan had mentioned, there are no April meetings, so keep that in mind. So hopefully we will see everybody in May. Other than that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn this evening.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir, Mr. Faulkner.
I move that we adjourn tonight's meeting.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Faulkner, second by Commissioner Kia to adjourn. Any discussion of the topic? Seeing none, all in favor? All raised, 7-0. We are adjourned. Thank you. Actually went longer than I was expecting tonight.